Good morning. It is 33 minutes after 8 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning, Sergeant Grace Frescas with the RPD, but kind of doing something a little different here this morning. Yes. Something not RPD related per se, but it is, but it isn't.
It is through Neighborhood Watch.
Yes, there you go. That's the angle. We'll go there. And, of course, Amy McVay-Tellez with us with the historical side as well. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
So this is... hopefully people have started to hear about the Chihuahuita project. This is, how many months now have we been kind of...
We started it in July.
Okay. Get that microphone in front of you. That would be helpful. I'd probably forgot to tell you that part.
Well, we started it in July, and about the ends of July is when we started discussing it.
Okay, good deal. So it's been for a few months here now.
Yes.
So kind of, what was the inspiration? What was, was it just there? And
so let me tell you,
like your family that lived from there?
I do have a lot of family in that area, and plus that was my childhood area.
Okay, that's where you grew up.
On top of that, we work with different entities throughout the city as a police officer.
Sure.
So throughout my career, we'd go over there because there would be a home that would be destroyed. If we ended up having to go over there for a search warrant, and so then code enforcement would have to get called out. But you'd kind of see these homes. It was really depressing to me. You'd see some of these homes, and they were made of adobe. Mm-hmm. So you kind of wonder, man, if these walls could talk. But then all of a sudden, you drive by again, and it's gone.
It's old history.
And I remember the comment that was always made was, it was easy to tear down because you could just water them down.
Sure.
So that
broke
my heart. And I said,
like
you know what? No, done. This
Thank
is
God
ridiculous.
In some aspects, because we got better technology now. But
but I want to save that area.
Sure. Well, and I you know what I love about that? And I remember, and this was my Boy Scout days, when I went, I got an opportunity to go to Philmont Scout Ranch up in Cimarron, New Mexico there, and they actually taught us the procedures for making the adobe bricks and how they do it. And it's a very painstaking process and things. So anytime you see those still around, they're historical because they don't make them that way anymore. And so are there still some of those buildings still left in the Chihuahuita area?
Very, very few. They're very, very few.
So we want to keep the ones we got left.
Yes. And actually, it's pretty interesting because there's still, and it's so neat, there's some still foundations that are standing there from old dwellings that were part of a church in the area or part of a store.
So you kind of want to do a little archaeological stuff there and see what you could dig up.
All of the above.
And a lot of those businesses, a lot of those foundations are still a family that still exists to this day here in Roswell.
Still modern ties to those properties and those facilities. Mm-hmm. So we want to bring that to light and to research and to give it. And obviously, the one entity that preserve the history of our Southeast New Mexico is the Historical Society. So it kind of makes sense.
She's a dare woman. Anytime,
she's like, I'm going to use my detective skills here, and we're going to. But it makes sense to partner this way because a person with a passion to preserve it, and let's see how we can do that. And obviously, this is right up the Historical Society's alley. This is what we do: is we preserve history, and we want to make it available to future generations. So
I think it's important to say when Miss Grace called the first time, first of all, her passion was evident. Second of all, it was clear that she's in some capacity doing the job of the Historical Society and doesn't realize that she's already part of our family.
Unfortunately, it takes people with passion to get things done sometimes.
It does.
It's just life happens, and even with the Historical Society, right? You kind of in the forest there trying to handle your own fires, and you don't see all the others going on and around you sometimes. And this is kind of one of those areas where you need someone like Grace, Sergeant Frescas here to say, hey, this is something that we're losing, and we need to preserve it. Otherwise, the next generation of New Mexicans, Roswellians, will not know what was here before they were here.
And I know our Vice President, Christina Arnold, and City Councilwoman is very supportive. I think uniquely...
It's always good to have some of those on your side.
And then uniquely connecting the dots is Dr. Heidi Huckabee.
Yes.
And her husband was so passionate. I think it's interesting. Christina and I are addicted to a book called Super Connector. Okay. And if you started connecting these dots of how God has opened the doors, passing the baton from the late... Dusty Huckabee onto somebody like Sergeant Frescas that is so passionate. We're just honored to be a part of it. And
Sure.
anyway, we can help. We had a board meeting last night, and even at our board meeting, we stated your passion's evident, and any way we can help, we're all in. You know?
Well, and this
we want the
project's
whole
bigger than
community.
preserving adobe bricks.
That's
this is about
right.
the
Exactly.
culture,
That's
the people.
right.
Yes.
It's more. I mean, yes, the
Yes.
bricks are the visual.
That's right.
But it's so much more than that. Like, we want to maybe, if we get to restoring or at least making these places sites for people to visit or something. I don't know.
That is definitely something we've discussed. So number one, I do want to say that I'm very, very, very proud of that area. There's so many things that we can do to that area.
Sure. But how much would it just revitalize? Because, just the people that live there and turn it into the more of the arts and cultural stuff that, even downtown's kind of embracing now. If we spread that into the Chihuahuita district, I can't imagine that's nothing but good things for that. Keeping that flavor, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and my understanding is it's a 10-year project. I know that we had discussed that, but we're slowly working on it. We've discussed, even possibly doing a plaza there.
Okay.
Because
a gathering place, a place where the neighborhood, the
that was
community
huge
could
back
do
in the
something.
early
Yeah.
1900s and late 1800s. It was huge. There was one celebration through some interviews that I did that was really celebrated, and that's el 16 de septiembre, which is the 16th of September.
The
and
real
it's Mexican Independence Day.
not Cinco de Mayo.
But no, not at all. It's Battle of Puebla.
Yeah. That's just a day you drink Coronas or whatever.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Deal with people like Sergeant Frescas later that day.
No, because I will be among that group.
That's right.
That's funny. That's awesome.
But who's to say in the future we can't have the Piñata Fest there?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that would
To
be
me, it makes
absolutely
more
amazing.
sense for it to be
Yeah,
there.
bring in
Well, yeah.
restaurants, maybe
Sure.
businesses. The area is beautiful. It's full of, it's a historical district. It
Absolutely.
really is. And people don't understand when they drive
But,
by
like-
what they're driving by.
But like Dia de los, like all the holidays that the Latin culture celebrates, I think that could be the center of it, and I think it could be an education center for it. So when dumb people like me come in and you're like, Dia de los, what's that, the skull thing? What does that mean? They don't know the whole story behind it.
Yes.
That's a place where I think would be a great place to be that festival, to educate, to celebrate, and do all the things that, in a community space that, let's face it, our community, the Latin community, but Roswell community in general, we like to gather. We like to get together. Our chili cheese festivals,
Yes.
our Piñata Fest, our different things. And why not put it in the home where I think most people would want to see it there, where it feels like the right place to have it. And I think
Absolutely.
Chihuahuita is that answer. I think it is.
Yes, absolutely.
So this is where we're trying to revitalize that district and make it
Not only
make it-
revitalized, I've lived here my whole life, and this darn town so often is split right down the middle. We talk about
that's
Second
a
Street.
true statement. The
And on
north-south
behalf of character
stigma.
counts, immediately when she talked, in the back of my mind, I saw character counts and these organizations pulling together to realize at the end of the day, doesn't matter what color my skin or her skin is, we're all familiar, right?
Well, that's
and it
what I
is
love
all
about it.
our
Yeah.
history, and there's no part
Absolutely.
of history that's any more significant than the other.
I think it blurs that line a little bit, that
But
north-south
this
stigma
hidden
that we have.
history, this gem that we need to clean up and polish, could be the
Well, and
the
I
go-to
can say-
area. That's what we.
And that, to build on that as well, the one thing I do want to take away is that stigma of Chihuahuita's a bad place. No,
Sure.
it's not, because I can tell you from personal
Yeah,
experience,
you
believe me,
you chew a lot of
it's not
dirt there.
just
That was-
Chihuahua.
that's
It's
your land.
all
Yeah.
over Roswell.
Yeah.
And I'm curious because I would like to get the deep history. Like, why did Chihuahuita become Chihuahuita? Like, it was just the politics of the day where the Latinos would move there. I mean, just how did it be there? of
There
all
were
places?
settlers from actually Mexico, from the state of Chihuahua, that were coming over, and
Okay.
that's where they settled, was
So
on
that
the
was
south
their-
side of the
Their
river.
claim. They staked their claim for a
Yes.
new world, basically, there in,
Yes.
in that part of town.
And thanks to some earlier efforts by some people, such as Miss Heidi Huckabee's husband, Dusty
Dusty.
Huckabee, and Charlie Varela, and another group of people that actually tried working on the Chihuahuita preservation, we were actually able to locate a map from 1910.
Oh, wow.
And it has the original street names, because the street names that you see in the Chihuahuita area are not the normal street names.
Okay.
It was
So
actually
maybe
like,
there's a city campaign down the road to maybe
we're already
return
talking about
to
that.
do
That's
that.
right.
It does take a lot of work
The
to change street
sign,
names.
but then the drop down or whatever.
What's
you
the
want
kind
to
of
say is
support
something.
from the people in the area? Are they all for this?
We've
or?
actually knocked on doors and did flyers and things like that, and people are super happy.
Sure.
We had a cleanup, as a matter of fact, on the 5th of November, and we started at 8 in the morning. Man, people were coming out of their houses and just pulling stuff. Hey, let's dump this. We had grapplers. The street trucks came by and picked it up for them.
Cool. So all the city resources got involved to
Every
help.
city, pretty
Nice.
much everybody
Love it.
from the city got involved.
What was the number? How much trash did we take?
So we picked up over 31,000 pounds.
I heard that number yesterday, and,
awesome.
it's a mixed blessing, because you're like, that's so great we clean that much up, but they're like, man, there's that much, and if you know there's that much cleaned up, there's still a bunch more there to
and
be
that's
had.
but that location is my heart, because again,
Sure.
I grew up in that area. There's so many houses I can tell you. I played here, I played here, I grew up here, I was hanging out here. This is where we went after church.
So let me ask you this: how much has it changed since you grew up as a girl there?
It's fallen apart
Yeah.
since I was
So
a
it's
kid.
declined a lot.
Yes, it has. Yes, and I'm stopping. I want to stop that.
Sure.
And I will
Well-
use my platform to do that.
Well, and this is unfortunate. We talk about with the what you said earlier about the stigma that people, that's the bad part of town.
Yes.
And it is because of, it's declined. It's the nature of the beast. It's anytime you get an area that people leave and it gets, to less people, decrepit, abandoned, it just draws in a criminal element, because they need safety and security too, and they want to do it in a place that's under the radar, where guess what? That's in those abandoned buildings and things like that. And so over time, that just, as more people leave and more people, leave those abandoned buildings and things, it changes. And so just that a lot of that's happened probably over the last 20 years or so.
Right.
And so it's time to kind of bring it back the way it was.
Well, through preservation comes pride, and so hopefully even less crime. And it's actually been statistically proven
Absolutely.
that with that pride and that preservation, it'll lower.
So I'm curious. I mean, obviously you grew up there and things, but did this really spawn through Neighborhood Watch? Like you were forming some groups there and said, there's more than a Neighborhood Watch I could do here.
Well, not just me wanting to get neighborhood watches started. The Neighborhood Watch program also would like to encourage growth, communication to the actual community.
Absolutely.
And so that's what this is all about as well.
Sure.
So
Well,
not
this is
only,
community policing. This is at its finest.
absolutely.
This is what community
But
policing
so
is.
I also want to help build or rebuild and share the history of Chihuahuita.
Give pride back
so
to
that's
the
why,
area.
Yes, so that's why I want to use my platform to the best of my ability to do that.
Sure, absolutely. And I would imagine, too, coming as a police officer, there's more people that are, like, let's face it, if another police officer didn't grow up in that area, they're probably not going to be as receptive to open doors and talk to you as someone who grew up there. I imagine some of the families you talk to, they're like, I remember you getting in trouble in my front yard and all that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a kid, and you're the one who was doing this, you know, and so they already know where you come from. So it almost takes someone like you to get the others on board, someone that comes from there, someone that chewed the dirt that the people that live there have done. And people that are outsiders, we can talk all day, but we won't make the headway that someone like yourself can do. So it's almost needed.
On the cleanup day, there was power, and when we were handing out flyers, some of the response through the community would be, "What are you doing here?" And then when we told them, and I was asked again, "What are you doing here?"
Sure.
And when they realized we care, another powerful thing on that cleanup day, we had so many entities out there. How many people do you think? Hundreds.
We had 100.
I think once
Hundreds.
people realize what's going on, they're like, all right, let me grab my
New Mexico
equipment.
Youth Challenge Academy came out.
Job
and
Corps.
they were all lined up. In New Mexico Youth Challenge Academy, one of the young girls lived 2 blocks from me.
I was about to say,
And
I
it
would
was-
imagine there's a
see,
few
and
of the
it's
youth
just
challenge
all
people
these
that
dots connected.
born and raised there too.
That,
Yeah.
Pioneer Bank was out there as well too. They lended a
yeah.
hand to Alien Jeepers. I think obviously Job Corps.
Pioneer Bank's amazing because they kind of have an army of volunteers
They do.
ready to
They are
go
an
for
army.
anything, and you
That's
call them
right.
up and get them on board, and they come they
That's
come
right.
full force to help out. They do it all the time.
So many churches were out there. I mean,
Yes, and we had so many sponsors too. They were wonderful. Stellar Coffee, they had wonderful coffee out there.
Back when
L&F
fuel-
distributors. We had our little, and I'm so glad that they donated the water and like the electrolyte drinks because everybody was so tired
Yes.
and dehydrated, and that just
Yes.
perked people up, and they went back out to do their thing.
Keeps them motivated. Keeps
Yeah.
them, ready for the next round here. So where are we at now? What can the public do? What do we want to
So the next
put on people's radar now?
So the next thing, and it's open to the residents of Chihuahuita. So the December 9th,
Okay.
I am hosting at the Boys and Girls Club a meeting called Conchas y Cafecito.
Okay.
And it's just a sit down with the community of Chihuahuita. How did the cleanup help you?
Okay.
What more can we do as a city?
Gotcha. So
But it's also going
after-
to be a greeting of the mayor, their city council representatives, because people out there didn't really know who they were.
They want to see the representatives, the people
and
that
to meet
that-
them, to
that-
talk to them. Yes.
Awesome.
Maybe even talk to somebody from solid waste. If you guys ever need to dump stuff, this is how this works.
Sure.
You know, things like that.
Make sure they're aware of city resources and how to utilize them.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Absolutely.
And so then the next cleanup, Lord willing, will be in January.
How much is a language barrier an issue there? Or, I mean, do most people
A lot of people are bilingual.
are they bilingual, or is there some that are just fluent in Spanish, so
and if
they're
they're fluent
untrusting
in
of
Spanish,
service?
I speak Spanish. I'm fluent and I read it
Sure.
and write it, so I'm good.
Good deal. I just was kind of curious whether there was a disconnect there between the city and
Nope.
Chihuahuita as far as being aware of services and things. Is like, well, if they don't speak English, I mean, they don't understand that something's going on. And it's just a matter of
Yeah.
they got this the facility. You can bring things there. It's free to residential and all this.
Well, a lot of your solid waste people also spoke Spanish.
Sure. I knew we had a lot. I just didn't know if there was some disconnect there. Maybe.
Yeah, no,
or-
not at all.
Okay,
No.
good. But this meeting was also one of those things to eliminate the disconnect here. It's like
That's
it's like,
another
hey,
thing you're trying to do.
Did it benefit what we did? Good. Now what do we need to do? Or that didn't help much. Well, then what do we need to do to make it help? And
Yes.
that's what this meeting's all about. And then, like you said, this is that chance for city and community leaders to come and say, hey, we're your representatives. We're the people that you turn to when you need help. And this is what we do. And make sure that they're aware that, there are sources to help in when you have issues, when you have problems. And I know, and let's face it, it's human nature. We kind of want the path of least resistance. If we don't want others necessarily to take care of our problems, it's like, I'll handle it myself. Don't worry about it. But sometimes that can get in the way, and next thing you know, a problem gets just forgotten about or pushed. It gets kicked down the curb, and then next thing you know, that problem turns into a more major thing down the road. And it always happens. Just sometimes pride gets in the way and things
Right.
like that. So we want to take that off the table and say, hey, this is about community. This is about family. This is about our home, our neighborhood. What can we do to make it the greatest place on the planet for us to be here? And that's what this project's all
Yeah,
about.
and who's to say somebody coming from East Second, from another state, come through and then they see the big sign, because that's what would like to do.
Sure.
We would love to see if the
A
Chihuahuita
welcoming.
resident. Welcome to the neighborhood, the Chihuahuita Historical District.
Yeah.
Oh, we came through here and there were some wonderful restaurants, or there's a really beautiful building, or let's stop and eat here. Something
Sure.
like that.
I would love to see, and just how much of the Mexican culture we could, bring and use it to celebrate and educate. That's what I love about it. Is you have, especially, we have a lot of transplanted New Mexicans, people that come here and settle here that
Yes.
aren't from New Mexico. I'm one of them. I've been here a long time, but I'm from Maryland. I didn't grow up in I'm not raised here, but. So sometimes there's a disconnect between the local culture, and even to this day, I'm, a few things like I know of Chihuahuita and things, but I don't know the deep history about it. I know that's kind of where it started, and I also know that right now it's the bad part of town and things, and we want to
And that's what I want. I want to
to
change that image
Yeah.
because it's not. There's some wonderful people there.
It's a great community with some probably some of the oldest Roswell families call that home.
Exactly.
Or
Legacies.
legacies of Roswell. We do heritage dinners and things every year honoring people and families that have made an impact here. How many of those people had roots through Chihuahuita? How many of those? I would say a good portion of them
Yep.
probably don't even realize it.
I think a lot about the little splash pad that's right there in that area off of Second, and that was donated by the Murphy family. There's a lot of Murphy families out there, if you will. If you say, what does that have to do with anything?
Go Rocket and Murphy.
A lot of legacies could support this. The Historical Society, our part in this, our part is anything Sergeant Fresca says. but our part is encouraging people listening. If you did nothing but make connections to bring maps and pictures and photos to add to our collection.
That's what we're looking for,
At any time, you could call 622-8333 and make an appointment with our amazing archive committee, and I guarantee you Sergeant Frescas will be here, because anytime we get new items, she's like, I'm on my way over here.
Sure.
Heck yeah.
and that's part of it, too, is we have some stuff from that area, but not nearly as much as we want.
And Dr. Heidi Huckabee, I'm going to tell you right thing, if we get that information in, she is scanning it in, and she's going to be on
She's
point.
delving in the archives.
So to add that. But number two, just remember, no matter who's listening and where you are in this community, you can connect a dot to this project, because the vision of 10 years might be us getting construction companies and plumbers and groceries, everything. See, to me, in character counts, we see everybody coming together and making this a 5-year project and not a 10-year, because people are so supportive. Sergeant Frescas has a problem of how are we going to get all this done? Well, we can get it done because this amazing community shows up and comes together. And I would like nothing more than us to be the united community that values a sweet little hidden treasure, that it pulls us together. And I just got goosebumps thinking, it doesn't matter whether you're from Chihuahuita or where you are. We are one big amazing family.
Well, that's what makes Roswell great.
Yes.
It's Chihuahuita. It's our neighborhoods. It's our people. It's the people that call this home, the people that have made this home. That's and it doesn't matter if it's the north end or Chihuahuita or just down by the base. It doesn't, wherever we're talking here, we're all one community, and maybe the Chihuahuita project's that reminder to all of us that we share this community. Let's all embrace it, and let's all, because we have, and we're so culturally diverse here. We have you've got the gamut of everything here. You've got and how many places in a town of this size, which we're the biggest small town there is. You know what I mean? It's just. And we're very fortunate, and we need to embrace that. It's no different than the other amenities. We talk about the airport and the zoo and these things. We gotta embrace them. We gotta nurture them so that they grow. And Chihuahuita is the exact same thing. And I think for culturally speaking, it's right up there in importance with an airport, with the jail, with the zoo, with all the museums. It makes us who we are.
It puts things in perspective.
And for me, putting it in perspective was Mr. Charlie Varela. He had come through with a book of black and white photographs. And let me back up a little bit. So the cleanup where we were at, that's where the cultural center used to be.
Okay.
And it was built in the early 1900s, but that's where all the Latinos would go get together.
Okay. That was the social ground, the dances.
Yes. Well, we found the pictures, and it was, I almost started crying. I saw murals and just people coming to dances and getting together and hanging out. And you could see kids doing arts and crafts, and they would have shows. And I want to bring that back to Chihuahuita.
Yeah.
Because there's so much beautiful culture here, and we need to embrace it.
Yeah.
And that's the perfect location
I'll
for
give you one example.
In
that scrapbook, it was a lot of my husband's familia, right? Well, John thought I'd looked through the scrapbook. Well, I've been so darn busy, I haven't looked in there.
Chance.
So then he's sending me pictures because it would say Teas and Teas, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then it sparked this interest of most of the Teas family that's not even here in Roswell, that they can help wherever they are. That is just such a significant part of history.
Some roots go farther
than
others.
They got sparked, and that just is a reminder of how exciting it was.
It is.
Life's too short.
Absolutely, and
we need to come together.
And that would be awesome if we see a cultural center back in that, maybe in that same location. Who knows?
It'd be awesome.
If not, maybe up a block or two, but wherever,
And bakeries and grocery, all these
just to
fun
see the
things.
neighborhood again, kind of that old feel of when you walk down the street to get your breakfast or whatever, and you get your paper on the way and go stop and see neighbors.
Yes. But that's why we want to have that Conchas y Cafecito meeting, is because I also want to hear from the community members there.
Sure.
Because I'm not the one that lives there.
Well, they're the ones that live
right.
there.
They're the ones that, yes, and I want to hear from them. What would you like to see in the future
Sure.
for your neighborhood?
Yeah. And I'm guessing they're going to tell us, because that's and
you go.
hopefully it kind of lines up with what we're thinking here.
Yes.
But at the
But
end of the
it may-
day, they're the ones that say
That's right.
no. And but this is why your input's important. So give out the dates one more time for that meeting.
So it's going to be November. I'm sorry, I don't know why I keep
December.
saying that. December 9th
December 9th.
December 9th.
at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. And where is that again? What's
At the
location?
Boys and Girls Club.
At the Boys and Girls Club
Yes.
there. So come on down.
And
If you
let's-
haven't seen the newly remodeled Boys and Girls Club, there's your excuse to go check it out.
And then let's remind them how they can get involved. If anybody listening wants to get involved in any way with the project. Can we
Absolutely.
give your email or?
Yes, so it's g.frescas
Okay.
at roswell-nm.gov.
Okay.
And I'd also love to talk to people. I'm doing some interviews. I'm kind of doing it a little bit rickety too. I'm doing it off my phone.
Okay.
For what it was like for them or their family in that area
maybe
as well.
can-
So 624-6770.
Okay.
Ask for Sergeant Grace Frescas.
Very good. And of course, you can always shoot a message to the Historical Society, and we'll get it directly to
They can
Grace.
call the
or
museum
we
at
can-
622-8333.
Yes.
Historydirector@outlook.com. Give us a call and we can connect you immediately if you wanted us to make copies of photos and maps and fun. Don't let that legacy and history go away.
Yeah. If start going,
Please
go
let
through
us
those trunks
develop
and
this. That's right.
go through the attics and
yes.
basements and
And
you got
during
one.
these holidays when you're cleaning and decorating, and if you find information, don't put that off. Give us a call. We can scan and input in. It may connect a dot that you never realized. We
Absolutely.
have that happen all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And
that's
thank
a
you,
great-
Sergeant Frescas, for your passion. I know we're part of Leadership Roswell, and I think our leaders need to step up.
Yeah. And
show
by the
up
way,
and bring this
if
community
you're
together.
interested in organizing and forming a neighborhood watch in your
Hey,
community,
there
and
you
it
go.
doesn't have
Too.
already one, Sergeant Frescas is your
We
point
have
of contact
so
for
much
that.
fun with those things. We do.
That's good, and we need to have more fun. So there you go.
Absolutely, absolutely.
involved.
Well, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
And,
you.
well, we got to. Maybe we should get you back in around the 9th, or just remind people around that. Just a last minute reminder there. But
That'd be great.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
So,